gosh. Okay, go ahead.
All
Ask the
right, go
hand
ahead, Jimmy.
question.
Did you enjoy it? There he goes
I did
again.
enjoy it. It was
I
very
thought it was
good.
great. My cord's too low. Too short. I didn't expect to be talking. I thought it was great. Kathy's going to translate as me. That's the hand. I thought it was fantastic. I really did. I told you that off
I
air
know,
too.
but it doesn't matter what you tell me off camera. You got to tell me on camera. Nobody
No,
can
I
hear
mean,
you off camera.
listen. I went in with expectations that it was going to be good because you wouldn't just put out crap.
No, but that's where you're wrong.
I
You
was
haven't
blown
seen the
away.
show, obviously.
And I was blown away. That's no BS.
Well,
It was really good.
Welcome to Comedy Centric, your place for all things comedy. Every week, we'll discuss the legends and the people who built the business, the performers, writers, behind the scenes, and stories that you have never heard. So relax, take a load off, and join us for this episode of Comedy Centric. Now, the host of your show, nationally headlining comedian, a woman with a wicked sense of humor and a killer Jersey accent, Julia Scotti.
Oh, there I am. Oh, I'm taking a load off.
How's your load?
It's off.
Good. How you doing, you crazy woman? You've been busy. Busy.
I know. Busy. We got to find somebody who knows something about Billy DeWolf and have that person on, because I love Billy DeWolf. So you might notice, first of all, you know that it's we're coming into the warmer weather because the sun has shifted from my window. During the winter, I'm facing the other way. I've had to turn because we tape, I don't know, like around 6 o'clock. And
did you just put a mint in your mouth?
I did.
You have like no broadcast acumen whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
You have
no
no idea what you're supposed to be doing.
That's why this is
Take that mint. Unless you're kissing somebody immediately after the show, I need you to spit that mint out.
I'm not spitting. These mints are expensive.
Well, put it aside.
All right. So you notice I shifted around because of the sunlight.
You're shifting.
And you can see it right here where the sun is.
Right.
So it's
right
like
by your
I'm trying
bosom.
to move. It's like if this were Yankee Stadium, I'd have to move
larger.
I don't know. There, that's better, right? I want to keep Amelia Earhart in the picture.
It's only going to be good for like the next 5 minutes, and then it's going to be screwed up again.
I know. I'm going to have to move down the hall. I think I'm going to have to move this whole thing into another room where the sunlight is not.
You know where you need to move it? Alaska.
Where?
They only have.
That's
they
right.
don't have a lot of daylight.
That's right. Anyway, what were you saying? Oh, I'm thinking. I want to throw this out at you. I'm thinking of changing careers. You know, I've loved music, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking I want to go professional whistling.
Is that lucrative?
I don't know. I mean, it's certainly an untapped market.
Well, there might be a reason.
I don't. You know, I think it's completely overlooked, though.
Well, I know it's not because when I hear somebody whistling, I want to kill them. Like, stop whistling. Because it's annoying when you're not the whistler.
You know, there used to be a show named The Whistler, a program called The Whistler.
What was it about?
It was a detective. I don't know why they called them. Well, every week the show opened up with somebody whistling. It was his theme song was whistled.
Wow, that's really niche-y.
Oh, it's a very famous program, The Whistler. So anyway.
Hey, so enough with the freaking whistler. You have been busy.
I have.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yay. Round of applause from our fake studio audience. Yay, Julia. Yay.
And now everybody's going, what the hell are they applauding? This past weekend, we had a stage reading of my play, Love in Shades. It's the first time I've ever heard a cast read it aloud. And Jimmy was there. Jimmy came Saturday night, and
it's amazing that he still let you do the show today.
I'm shocked.
And it went well. I heard good things.
Did you?
Yeah.
It did go well. I got to admit, it's hard for recovering Catholic and Italian to be able to brag on themselves because we're not allowed to. Mm-hmm. But it did go well. Yeah. They. You
want to tell people what it's about?
Well, loosely, it's about it's semi. It's not really autobiographical, but the characters are based on family members I knew from my back in Fairview growing up. It takes place in the year 1969, and it's funny, and it's also very emotional too.
Good.
I think even Jimmy said he was crying. I don't know if he's still there, if he went out get a burger or something while he just leaves us alone.
He's here.
Jimmy?
Look, he's coming back. Look, his arm's here.
Look, I see his arm. It's time. Well, look, he's like the 50-foot man.
I enjoyed it, Julia.
I loved it, but I didn't. I'm getting off screen.
Well, you know what? Do one of those things with your hand like that. You know,
he's got a handsome arm. Yeah, do that, Jim. Hello? It's very good, Julia.
The whole show like that.
Yes. Okay, go ahead. Ask
All right, go ahead, Jimmy. Did you enjoy it? There he goes again.
I did enjoy it.
I thought it was great. My cord's too low. Too short. I didn't expect to be talking. I thought it was great. Kathy's going to translate as me. That's the hand. I thought it was fantastic. I really did. I told you that off air.
I know, but it doesn't matter what you tell me off camera. You got to tell me on camera.
Listen, I went in with expectations that it was going to be good because you wouldn't just put out crap.
No, but that's where you're wrong.
I was blown away.
The show, obviously.
And I was blown away. That's no BS.
Well,
it was really good.
So what?
I feel like you know what I feel like. I feel like the interpreter behind the politicians, or when they're doing a speech.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
I wasn't expecting to be on camera, folks.
Kathy, why is your mic? Now you look like you got a 50-foot tall mic. That's better. No, that's off.
You happy?
Wow.
Anyway, when that play comes out, go see the play.
Thank you. It's called Love in Shades. It's the name of it, Love in Shades. And it actually will become. I have to do some rewrites based on what happened, over the weekend. But I think the same company. You asked me a question. I try to give you intelligent answers, and you sit there doing that, like a homeless Muppet. Like a homeless Muppet.
You watch it with the Muppets.
Oh, you hear the turkey? They're outside. The other morning,
are they going
4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning the other morning.
Okay. All right. Back to what the hell were we talking about?
I don't know.
Oh, your play.
Yes.
So I thought you would come equipped with a scarf today. You'd have a little scarf around your neck.
It has to be on Broadway or something for me to get a scarf.
Ew.
They give it to you like a green jacket, like
is there like an event, like a party, like we're going to Julia's scarf unveiling tonight?
Yeah. See, now I'm trying to move out of the sunlight here. Okay, so you can see me. Anyway, boy, we really just got off to a cruddy start here. But you know what? We're going to make up for that with our guest.
Let's hope so.
That's the best I got. Anyway,
that's what you got. You going to say who our guest is?
I know who our guest is. But I'll tell you something. Unlike all our other guests, I don't know him personally. He's not as a Facebook friend.
Hey, you know what?
What?
You're breaking up. Julie doesn't know this guy personally, she says. I don't know how she got him booked on the show, but he's going to be here soon.
Am I breaking up now?
No, not now.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's the music. Anyway, this gentleman, Chris Lucas, I've gotten to know through Facebook. So this is really the first time I'm gonna get to talk to him. But his face might look familiar, like Teddy Kalukas. He's an actor. He's been in a million TV shows, lots of commercials. He's been all over the year for like 40 years. He's written a book.
Why would you compare him to somebody else?
Because Teddy's also a well-known character actor. In fact, I just watched Mrs. Maisel last night, and who do I see? Teddy Kaluka. So he's everywhere. So Chris Lucas is kind of like that too. If you look at, it's amazing what this guy's done. But
I'm looking forward to talking with him because he has written a book that is topical right now.
Didn't I just say that? I was just getting to that. You're drinking coffee, you're interrupting. I never get...
I'm not drinking coffee, I have water, Toots.
All right. He wrote a book. And he's also the son
I'm sorry, that was my out loud voice.
He's also the son of a very famous and very unique sportscaster named Ed Lucas. So we're going to have a lot to talk about if I don't come up there and kick your ass out of Pittsburgh before the...
Don't let the sun get in your eyes.
Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out.
Oh,
now I need to hear the music.
I never heard that before.
Where's the music?
It's on now. It just
it is? Okay. See, again, I can't hear. All right. Well, we're going to be back in a couple of minutes with Mr. Chris Lucas. So hang on. All right. Please, hang on. Hang on.
Please. Begging is not becoming.
Hey, listen, my album, Julie Scotti, Jersey Fresh, is available everywhere now. You can download it wherever you want. Everywhere. It's really kind of funny. It's like $10. Come on, buy the damn thing, will you? And also, check out on the Dry Bar, my comedy special, Dry Bar Comedy. It's called Julia Scotti, Jersey Fresh. So you can, it's my understanding that if you sign up for Dry Bar, you can see like 100,000 comics on there. But you, of course, have to watch mine. But you get a free month, I think. It's still going on like that. So, again, my album, Primal Cuts, and my special on Dry Bar, Jersey Fresh. It's so simple. Come on, do it. Do it for me. Do it for your mom. I love you. Bye. We're back.
That was natural. That was really good, Julia.
I never know when we're back. Nobody ever talks.
We're back when you say we're back.
I know, but I don't hear the music. How do I know we're back? How do I know?
Didn't Jimmy just say no music? You didn't even listen to your producer.
Yeah, he did. All right.
Come on.
All right.
Let's be nice.
I'm going to assume we're back. I'm going to assume we're back. And if I don't believe any of these people, but if we're back, it's good. So I'm going to introduce our guests now. And like I said, Chris Lucas, I've never actually physically met him, but we're Facebook buddies. And the more I found out about him, the more interesting this guy's life is. He's been an actor since he's a teenager, but he's also an author. He's a comedian. He's got a book out. He's a dad. And he's the son of a very famous broadcaster named Ed Lucas. So I'll give you a second for all of you people to type in the name Ed Lucas if you don't know it, and you can see. So while you're typing, let's welcome Chris Lucas. There he is. Hi.
Hey, thank you.
We finally meet.
Yes, it's great to see. Well, virtually see you anyway.
And the same with you. This is Kathy Caldwell.
Hey, Chris.
She came with the studio, so there's nothing I can do about her.
I'm like Larry the cat over at 10 Downing in Britain.
You can hear and see us all okay, right?
Yeah, I can see I'm moving a little closer.
What's your hat say? What's your hat say, sir?
Sorry for the weird angles.
It's okay. What's your hat say, Chris?
Well, it says everybody hates Chris.
Oh, I love it.
It was a gift from my sister, so I don't know how to take that.
Oh,
it goes out to.
Well, this is the. Go ahead.
A lot of ground to cover here, and so you are, as Julie said, you're an author and you're also an entertainer. But and I looked at your body of work. Boy, you've written a lot of books.
I have. It's funny because you say author and entertainer. I have always and will always till the day I die consider myself an actor, entertainer, primarily. But the writing somehow took over, and now people author Chris Lucas, and I don't what is the word when you imposter syndrome when you say I'm not really an author, but I've been fortunate that the books I've written have sold really well and people have liked them and critics have liked them. So I guess author is in there somewhere in the mix. But if you're a comedian or any sort of you're writing all the time anyway. So it kind of transitions one to the other.
Do you still perform stand-up?
I'm getting back into it. I took off for a while because you mentioned I was a dad. I had 2 boys and I chose not to go on the road. So I was doing little local things here and there, but I kind of pulled back. But what I started doing, which it wasn't stand up in clubs, but I started doing tours of New York City, and people would hire me and pay me very well during the day, so I didn't have to be out at night. And I would take them around, and I still do occasionally, and just kind of use jokes, use humor, and talk about New York City and make them laugh along the way. And it was great because I got to meet people from all over the world and try my material on people from every state and every part of the world.
That's about. Were you in a bus like Kramer did?
Believe it or not, believe it or not, and I got to actually know Kenny Kramer, the real Kramer who did it. But yeah, most of it was on a bus. A lot of times it was a company would book a bus of 50 people and they'd hire me to step on. And a lot of times people just contact me and say, hey, if we got a little minivan, would you mind jumping in? Or they'll do walking tours around the city. So it's a great way, again, to keep my skills sharp and keep talking to different audiences every day.
How did you get started doing that?
That was on a dare. It was actually like 25 years ago. I grew up in Jersey City, but I consider myself a New Yorker. And someone said, well, could you do a tour and take people around the city? And I said, well, I'll give it a try. I kind of know some things. And like same thing with comedy. Over 25 years, you have little bits that you fall back on and material, and the city is always changing. So I'm constantly adding things and trying out new stuff, but it just worked out.
That's fascinating. Do you charge by the borough?
If I did, it would be a very long tour. I would say I'd make sure it'd be like
That's what I mean. It's like,
yeah.
How? Well, there must be like the deluxe package or the basic.
There are. I mean, I've had weird with people. One time, somebody hired me to give them a tour in New York City and then take them to Niagara Falls, which is nowhere near. They thought
Niagara Falls. I'm sorry.
I literally had to sit in a car for however many hours, 7-8 hours, and talk about things that had nothing to do with New York City. They hired me. I wanted to be like, okay, we'll put a movie on us, and they're like, no, we hired you to talk. So it was the longest.
Oh my God!
Job talking I had to do. Yeah.
And you had to do it all the way back too?
No, thank goodness I dropped them off at Niagara Falls. And
Get the hell out of there.
Snuck out in the dead of night. Holy cow! Wow. Now, see, that's that kind of stuff. That's like me being a whistler. I told Kathy before the show I want to, give up comedy, become a professional whistler. I'm sure you've done that
lucrative.
too. So.
I don't think it's that lucrative.
Well, who would think that giving tours to Niagara Falls would be lucrative? But look at what he did.
No, New York City.
Go ahead, Kathy.
No, you go. You get into it.
Okay. So tell me, you did do stand-up though for. When did you do stand-up and where?
I did. Well, I started when I was in high school. I started, doing impressions and silly. I didn't really have much material that was good material. And then in the mid to late 90s, I just started hanging out at all the clubs in New York. And I got to, I know you knew Kevin Meaney very well. And he was a blessing because I was not very confident. And I got up there and I was doing, again, a lot of silly impressions and stuff, very old vaudeville material that I was trying to recycle and wasn't working. But he said to me once, he said, look, the people are paying money to be in the club and they want to love you. So just love them back and be yourself and be charming and don't worry about, if you're going to fail, you're going to fail. But then turn it into something that's, and like he always did. And it helped. It helped a lot. And we stayed in touch. We weren't like close friends, but it helped out a lot. And so, like I said, I'd done that from mid to late 90s, early 2000s, and my son was born in 2002, and that's when I kind of took a step back a bit. Kevin
pops up regularly, either with comics or just Kathy and I. He may be physically gone, but he's in all of our hearts. It's amazing the impact that man. I don't think he ever knew how much of an impact he had on people.
I mean, I hope wherever he is now, I hope he does, because every time I get on a stage, even every time I'm on a tour, a little of him slips. There's always something of his that's either in my head or I'm actually saying, one of his lines or a bit or something I learned from him. And you're right. Well, it's not just comics. I've met actors, plenty of actors that he met just through his work on Broadway that said the same thing.
He's one of those guys for whom the word beloved is certainly apropos. It's amazing. But anyway, all right. So let's talk about your acting. I mean, I'm looking at your resume here. 30 Rock, As the World Turns, One Life to Live. I mean, you're everywhere. You're a Renaissance guy here.
It's just I've been fortunate and blessed and try to do the right thing business wise, because that's when young actors say to me, oh, what should I do? What classes should I take? What acting school could I say, all that is great. Talent is great and preparation, but you really should be reading more books on business than you should be on acting and performing, because once you learn the secret of the fact that it is a business and you got to treat it like you are the product, and you've got to sell it the right way, and know who you are, know what you are, know what you do, and sell that. So to give you an example, you mentioned One Life to Live and As the World Turns. So I really wanted to be on a soap opera, and now I don't think there are any more. So I think they're all gone out of New York City.
There's like one left. Yeah.
But out in LA, right?
Yeah, they're all. There's only there's Young and the Restless and General Hospital. I think one other one. But when they were in New York, I said, okay, I want to be in a soap opera, but look at me. I know I'm not going to be, the Tom Cruise type or the Brad Pitt type. So I sold myself as the guy who's never going to get the girl. And I said, if you need a moment of comic relief, or if you need something, somebody to do a pratfall or something silly, I'm your guy. And they hired me. And that's what I did for a couple of years.
Well, wait a minute. You're simplifying things. You don't just go up to the producer of a soap opera, go, I'm the guy you want to hire. Hey, what do you say? You put, you had to have an agent.
It was a series of auditions and meetings, but at every one of them, I just kept hammering that home. I kept saying, this is what I do, and it's who I am and how I look, and if you can use that, that'd be great. So it worked out.
I've said that to casting directors, and they go, yeah, okay, goodbye. That's what I get.
So did you you grew up in the New York area, right?
I did, yeah.
Jersey City. And so your father was obviously a very, accomplished man, and we can go into that a little bit. But did you get your love of like writing and entertaining and all of that from your father, because he was a sports writer?
Yes, well, so certainly the writing part of it. I was his ghostwriter from the time I graduated high school until he passed away a couple of years ago. I would help him write his columns and brush it up. But he knew all the baseball stuff and the sports stuff, and I would add in all the pop culture things and try to keep it relevant. So it certainly helped me as a writer. But with the entertainment side, that was more my grandmother, my Nana, who raised me with my dad and my older brother, and she loved we went to Broadway shows all the time together, and she loved Disney and all these different things. So while my dad was the sports guy, I never really, even though I'm wearing a Yankee shirt right now, I never really got into sports that much. I was more about movies and TV shows and Broadway, and so she nurtured that side. So the two combined really made me who I am now. Okay,
for those of you who don't know who his dad was, you want to tell the world a little bit about him?
Sure. And thank you for asking. My dad was Ed Lucas. So Ed Lucas, my father, when he was 12 years old, he lived in Jersey City. So it was 1951. He went out to play baseball after Bobby Thompson. If you know baseball history, he hit this famous home run, and my dad was rooting for his team, the Giants, the baseball Giants, and he ran out to play a game, and he was the pitcher, and he threw the pitch, and the kid hit the line drive, and it hit him right between the eyes. Now, today, if that happened, they could fix that. There was surgery, but in 1951, there was nothing they could do, and my dad was struck completely blind from that moment on. And everybody told him, they said, your life is over. You're going to stand in a corner in Times Square with a tin cup and begging for pennies. And my grandmother, who was, she had remarkable faith, and she was always an optimist. She wrote to like Joe DiMaggio and Jackie Robinson and all these people, and all she wanted was an autograph or a little note to say, hey, feel better. And they came to the hospital, and they got to know my dad, and they told him, if you pull yourself out of this and you go back to school and you get a degree, we can't get you a job, but we'll open the door for you. And they did. They kept their word, and he hung around ballparks, and he did it for 65 years, and he won an Emmy for being a broadcaster.
All right, you're freaking me out, because this is like this is almost a Disney story. I mean,
it is. Yeah, I agree. Tell Disney.
Not almost. It is a Disney story.
Yeah.
So Joe DiMaggio shows up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Correct?
All of them. Joe DiMaggio, Phil Rizzuto, Ted Williams, Jackie Robinson. They all came to the I guess it's the medical center or Margaret Haig in Jersey City. They all came to see my dad.
I'm getting goosebumps.
I'm just trying to picture this. Okay.
He probably thought, "Oh my goodness, I'm not here on this earth anymore."
I try to. I wrote my dad's autobiography with him, and I asked him that same question, like, how at 12 years old, these superstars are coming into your room to talk to you, not anybody, not the, and he said he was still so much in shock from what had happened that it didn't register what was going on until much later, and then he appreciated it. But at the time, it was just kind of like, okay, these guys are coming in. He said sometimes he thought it was a dream. He didn't realize what was really happening in the room because it just seemed impossible. You would never have that happen today. I mean, a celebrity might reach out through social media, but they wouldn't go to a 12-year-old kid's room and talk to him and become his best friend. Like Phil Rizzuto used to pick my dad up and drive him to a diner. He and his wife would take him out to dinner. Or they'd go play just to chat, just to make him feel better.
Wow. That is
I'm a diehard Yankee fan. I grew up with those. No, I grew up with those people, not literally, but I mean watching them and admiring them, and the fact that they were Italian, and I just they were just like me, and I know Rizzuto was a nice man. I've heard stories about him, but Jesus, this is okay. So do you have pictures of that? Do you have?
Sure, I do. Yeah. I mean, you said you grew up. I did literally grow up. I would wake up in the morning to get ready for school, and there in my kitchen was Billy Martin and Yogi Berra and Phil Rizzuto having coffee, getting ready to take because my dad, obviously being blind, he couldn't drive, so they would drive him to the game. So they'd come to our house in the morning, and I'd wake up, "Oh, hi, guys, how are you doing?" And that was...
Wow. And that didn't get you into sports. It was like, okay, wow.
Well, I know this isn't, but this is an interview about you too, and but this I can't let this go. I can't. I'm sorry.
He's like a dog with a bone.
I know you come back enough, it'll be all you. But we got to get more of this story.
I'll talk about my dad all day long. I don't mind.
Okay, so your dad obviously wanted to be a baseball player, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I guess as a kid he wanted to play, but he also wanted to do something in baseball. He wasn't sure what.
Okay, so that could have gone so wrong for him. I mean, where he just became this bitter human being, and having had that taken away from him at a young age, and it's. I mean, I know if it were anybody in my family, they would have gone on a murdering rampage. Because we don't handle rejection like that. But this is just. Why is there not a major motion picture about this?
It's a very good question. So the book came out in 2015 about his life, and it's still like everything in Hollywood. There's still a lot of development going on, a lot of pieces that need to come together. There is a major star who read the book and is interested, but legally I can't say his name. It rhymes with Radley Looper, but I can't say the actual name of the person. But
okay. Kevin Costner.
Yes, there you go. See, you said it. I didn't.
Are these talks are they currently active, or is it stuff that's kind of just been on the table, off the table?
It's like Hollywood, on the table, off. It just sometimes takes 20 years to get a movie from the idea to the final product. So sadly, we were hoping it would get done before my dad passed away, but we lost him a couple of years ago. But we had at one point Stanley Tucci was going to play my dad. We had a few other people, and it goes in and out like everything with Hollywood. You'll have casting set, and then it changes, or the finances drop out. So,
or COVID happens, or
yeah, I have deep faith that when the timing is right, it's when it'll be right. It'll come out in a year when, not that we're looking for awards, but in a year when there's not as much competition in the Academy, and his movie will be the one that everybody sees and everybody knows.
Oh God, yeah.
And also, when we started this development process of the movie, there were no streamings, and they were around, but they aren't what they are today. So they're hopefully, if it's made, it'll be something that people can watch from there. I want them to see it in the theater too, but it'll be something that more people will see than if it was just out, came and went, and that was it, and nobody paid attention to it.
That would be right up there with Pride of the Yankees. I mean, that's just come on, are you kidding me? Let me ask you a question about, because ever since I read about him, I've wondered. He reported or he broadcast, correct? How the hell did he do that? How could he do that?
That's the number one question. It's a very good question. So he didn't do play-by-play because that wouldn't work. Like, oh, that sounds like a hit. That that's not going to happen. So what my father did in the 1960s when he was first hired, he would go to the players and he would talk to them and he would say, oh, I heard your wife is about to have your first baby, and are you excited? And you have a name picked out, and and this is back in the 60s. And during the game, somebody else would be doing the play-by-play, the balls and strikes, and my father would just interject every once in a while and say, "Oh, in 2 weeks they're going to have their first baby," and he's all excited. And at first, people hated it. They got letters saying, "Why are you doing this? This is not what sports is. It's just supposed to be about the game. We don't care about their lives." But now, you can't watch a game without having 4 or 5 sometimes color commentators in the booth and people coming in and celebrities and guest stars and all that. But the Baseball Hall of Fame credited him as the one who did it in baseball, and there was somebody at the same time in football doing the same thing. But the two of them really were the pioneers in what's known now as color commentary.
Because I was just at the hall, and I was going to wear my shirt today, but I didn't. I wish I'd have known you then. Is there any mention of him in the hall itself?
Yeah, there's actually a couple of mentions of him in the hall. So from the broadcasting section, and then they have some memorabilia from his career. The hall rotates a lot. So the last time I was there was about 2 or 3 years ago, just before COVID, and they had a few of they had his microphone and a couple of other things on display in the Yankee exhibit. So it may not still be there, but he's definitely represented at the Hall of Fame.
And I was in the broadcasting section too, because I wish God. Oh my God! I'm sorry. I'm domineering this again, Kath. You have some? Did you have a question?
No, you're doing fine.
I'll go with you. I'll get a personal tour.
No, and so you're this kid. You hear about show business kids who, oh yeah, and John Wayne came over for Thanksgiving, and it was no big deal to me. He was Uncle Duke to me, And so as a kid, are you an only child?
No, I had an older brother.
Okay,
he's still around. He's still there. My older brother.
That's good. So you're walking around going, hey Mickey, hey, Reggie, hey, all these people. You must have been really popular in school.
It helped definitely. Well, yeah, it absolutely helped. There's a story. Wow. So it's not baseball related sort of, but I'll give you an example. So at Yankee Stadium, my dad, after school, we'd always go in the car with him to night games because we didn't have a babysitter, and the game was, so we'd hang out in the locker room in the clubhouse, and we'd basically do for free the job of a locker room attendant or a bat boy. And I would always say, and I still say, it was like the couch of the Tonight Show when we would go into the dining room with my dad, because he would be sitting with Mr. Rizzuto, Mr. Berra, and whoever was there that night at the stadium was there at the table. So one night it would be Bob Hope, another night Jimmy Cagney would pop in, and then I know, but my favorite one was we'd sit down, and that day in school we were talking about Richard Nixon's presidency, and on the way to the game we were listening to a Billy Joel album, and we get to the game, and who's sitting at the table with my father but Billy Joel and Richard Nixon, and it was like, this is the most surreal thing in the world. And
so you were old enough where you were cognizant of this wasn't normal.
I started to later. At the beginning, you don't know. You just think it's normal, and then later on, yeah. But the story I was getting to was my freshman year in high school. I went to a Catholic school, and we were talking at the table about something, and Mr. Nixon happened to be there, and it was about current events, and said, "Oh, well, what's your project in school?" And our project freshman year, it was like this first or second week, was to talk to somebody or bring somebody in about an event in history. And I guess, Sister Eileen meant your grandma, your grandpa talk about Pearl Harbor, talk about something. And so I mentioned that, and Mr. Nixon said, "Can anybody come?" I said, "Sure, anybody can." So he said, "Would you mind if I came and talked a little bit about the China, going over there?" And I was like, "Sure." I did not know that Sister Eileen was a huge Republican fan and loved Richard. So I set it up with the principal, didn't tell Sister Eileen, and he came to our school and walked in and talked for about 30 minutes to all the kids, and then left and went out. And so Sister Eileen said to me, "Not only did you pass freshman year history, you have now passed sophomore year, junior year, senior." And she said, "I'll write to whatever college you go to and tell them to pass you too." So, and
you have pictures of all of this too.
Yeah, we had. This is the life. So
what was your dad's take on this? Was he just, these were his friends, and he was not like it was just friends. These were the people he hung out with, and just his people.
And that's what he tried to always tell my brother and I. Like these are just, celebrities are regular people like everyone else. They do everything like everyone else does, and they were his friends. So we were never to make a big deal or make a big fuss about it or anything like that. And that's sort of, I try to carry that. So there's only one time I was ever dumbfounded and starstruck was after the book came out. We got a note that said Sir Paul McCartney wanted to meet my dad because he's at the games all the time, or he's friends with Lorne Michaels. So we sat down for lunch, and I sat there, and normally I'm chatty. I didn't say a word because it's a Beatle, and I'm sitting across the table from Beatle. So my dad, who had a heavy Jersey City accent, trying to make conversation because I wasn't talking, said, Paul, Chris used to love your show when he was a kid. After Batman came on, he would sit and he would watch your show every day, and he would laugh. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at Paul McCartney. We're looking at each other like, what is he talking? Then it dawned on me, and I guess it dawned on McCartney at the same time. Oh my God, he thinks he was a monkey. My dad was talking about the monkeys, and then I watched the monkeys. My father was not a music person at all, so he knew the Beatles, but he just was not. And McCartney just looked at me and shrugged his shoulders, and I laughed. But that was the life with my dad. I was blessed to have someone like that.
You are remarkably normal.
Well, depends.
I mean that in a complimentary way. You are so down to earth, having lived this life. I mean, it's. Your parents your dad did a great job with you because you turned out really swell, for lack of a better word.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Well,
thanks, Bobby.
Yeah, there are many things I thank him for, but he gave me the outlook on life that, whenever, and it helps, especially in the career that I chose, that anytime there's rejection or there's something that seems impossible or there's something, I just look at him and so look at all this man went through and how he kept a smile on his face the entire time and never treated anybody. He would treat, what's the old expression, treat the janitor like you would the king. That was him. And it's the same thing I've tried to do in my life, is that everybody you meet is a blessing, and you try to be the same to everyone and just have an optimistic spirit.
Wow. So let's go back to you now. You wrote the book about him,
yes.
And it was a bestseller. So he continues to, give to you as his son. But you moved beyond that. So you're looking. Well, tell me about the other books you've written.
So the book about my dad was called Seeing Home, and it came out in 2015. It was actually published by Derek Jeter. So the first thing he did after he retired, he started a publishing company, and he went to my dad and said, "Hey, can I publish your book?" Because we were looking for someone to do it. And so he published it, and that's part of the reason why it became a big hit, was because of him. So after that, everybody kept saying to me,
"Wait a minute! I'm overloading here. I'm just." I am. Mike. Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, so after that book came out, everybody kept saying to me, what's next? What's like they do with entertainers? Oh, you had a big hit. What's coming up next? And so I'd been doing since 2001. I was doing a show about Walt Disney because that's another thing I love really much at Disney. And I was playing Walt Disney and doing a one-man show. And in my head, I wanted to write a book about him, but there's 1,000 books about Walt Disney, and what can I say? What can I do? So it clicked a top 10 list, a book of top 10 best love songs from Disney and top 10. So I meant to write a book that was just going to be a top 10 list of Disney, and it turned into kind of a history of the Disney company through top 10 lists and all that. And I was fortunate that the people at Disney were working with me, and they helped me promote it. And when it came out, and it still sells pretty well, and Disney fans seem to enjoy it, and they sent me all over the country on a tour, going to all these different sites talking about it.
Well, let me ask you, you say you played Walt Disney in what? I don't ever remember anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so it was a one-man show, and it was called Of Mouse and Man, and it was basically me as Walt Disney, fake mustache and all, standing up there and just talking to the crowd about his life. And
you did this. Where did you do this? You did it at Disney World?
Well, one of them was at Disney World, and others were just at libraries, museums, universities, places. A lot of places connected to Walt. I would go and like his hometown in Missouri. There's a museum there, so different places around the country that were Disney related or just entertainment related.
I don't want to get political, but how do you think Walt would feel about what's happening in Florida right now with
Walt,
Disney?
Walt did not suffer fools gladly, so he would put his foot down anytime. He knew he played the happy avuncular Uncle Walt, but when he needed to, he was able to put his foot down, and that's what people confuse about Walt Disney all the time as the person, is that he was conservative fiscally. Like he was a very, as far as a Goldwater Republican is what they called them, that when it came to national defense and security, but as far as social attitudes, he was one of the most liberal people in the world. He if you look at his movies, every single one of his popular movies was about the underdog and outsiders and people that were cast aside by society, and how we should welcome them back in, how nobody should be treated. He made an entire ride about the world coming together. It's a small world. At a time during the Cold War, he made sure that Russia was in there and all these others. So it tells you about him as a person, that he would look at all this now, and people that invoke his name and say, Walt would never do. He would laugh in their face and say, come on. But
how do you think he would fight back against the overreach of the government just through lawyering and
I think Walt would do it through entertainment. He always did that. He would find a story, or he would find a movie. He would put it out there, or if he still had his TV show. So he did that traditionally, and I think that's what he'd be doing right now, which is what the company is doing. They're fighting back with just putting out great content that is inclusive and diversive, and saying, we don't care if go ahead and boycott us. We don't care.
It's good good on them.
What are you doing now? What are you planning now?
Good question. So I have another book that I'm working, because again, people said, oh, what's next? So it's a book called The Nightlife, and it's about a young teenager who takes a job at a castle where people dress up as kings and knights and they fight, and he's trying to become a knight himself. And the owner of the castle is this really greedy corporate guy who wants to do a reality show around the castle. So they do this reality show, and the kid is trying to win that show. So it's a kind of I don't know if it's a young adult novel, but something about a castle.
Is that from your time at Medieval Times?
I didn't say that. You did. I don't know where we got it. Just one night in my head, it popped in like, hey,
okay.
Yes.
Coincidence? Maybe. I don't know. What did you do there? What did you do at Medieval Times?
I just finished my contract. I decided not to, so I could go out and do other things. But I spent 8 years. I started out as the king at Medieval Times, and then switched over to playing the villain, which is a lot more fun because there's a lot more to do as the villain. And the villain got to be a very Disney villain and make stupid jokes, and just they gave me lots of opportunities to ad lib and stuff like that. So I spent 8 years doing that. And the great thing was, it was 5 minutes from my house. So as an actor,
in the Sea Caucus, right? Or Rutherford?
Lyndhurst. Lyndhurst. So
that's right. Yeah.
To be able to do an acting job where you got paid nicely to go 5 minutes from your house with 2 boys to raise, who are now, they're out of school. So now I can, go on and do other things. But that was a great position to have for 8 years. You don't get many opportunities as an actor to have a long running show that you're in, and
apparently you do. You have this. This is like you're one of these people, and I bet only maybe one other person that doesn't even come close to your life, but that you find these nuggets of gold. It's like they're just there, while everybody else is down in the mine, chipping away. It's never, you'd be walking through, and there it is, right on the ground. If somebody dropped it on the ground, you take it home with you. It's an amazing life. It's an amazing life.
Thank you. But see, that's the thing. It seems like that. It seems like I just walk on the ground. But what people don't see is the work that you do underneath it. So someone, I forget who, it was Harrison Ford or somebody else, said the work of an actor isn't the acting, it's the work to get your next job. And so
like,
the acting,
like stand-up.
I would do that for free. I don't care. I love the acting, but it's the trying to get that position, get that job. So I think it was Harrison Ford that said, I'm a multi-million-dollar guy, but it's not about the money. It's when the movie's over, I'm unemployed and I'm looking for my next movie, and I'm looking for my next. So same thing with an actor, you got to be constantly doing that work, but no one sees that. They only see,
I didn't mean to minimize it. I didn't mean to minimize it.
I just, I know you understand the thing,
Yeah.
but a lot of people, that's what they do. They say, "Oh, look at that," but there was certainly some luck involved, but also the other thing, we talked about my father before. My father knew all these people, Danny Kaye and Bob Hope were friends of his, and he would always say, I could get you an in, and being a stubborn young guy, youth, the arrogance. I said, no, Dad, I'll do it on my own. And now I look back, I'm like, what are you, an idiot? You should have taken those opportunities, and I didn't.
But you know what? That wouldn't have made you the person you are, I think, and I really like the person you are. I mean,
thank you.
You're just. I think I'm falling in love with you. Is what I'm saying.
Well, thank you. Well, I like the person you are too, and
thank you.
It means a lot.
The only one Kathy doesn't like either one of us, so I just no.
I like him.
Oh, okay.
I like you too,
Like
Kathy.
Chris. I'm on the fence about.
Are you well? Okay, so where's the biography, the autobiography of Chris Lucas coming?
Yeah.
Oh, I maybe 4 people would want to read that, so I don't know if that's ever coming. My dad's story was far more interesting.
I don't know about that. I think you've got if nothing else, a screenplay.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? If I had your life, I'd be right. I wouldn't be here wasting my time with an old fat woman and some woman in Pittsburgh.
Well, I've got 2 boys who are very talented, so maybe they can help me write the screenplay and get it done.
What are they into, Chris? What do they like?
My oldest is amazing. He's 20 years old, and he's already written a whole bunch of books, and he's going to be doing his first cabaret show in New York City in a couple of weeks, and he's producing videos, and he's good at editing and all those other things. My youngest.
When you say he's doing his cabaret show, what does he do? Is he performing or is he writing it?
Yeah, no, he's performing at Don't Tell Mama, because I know I performed there like 32 years ago or something like that, but he's going to be on stage, and he's all excited. So
upstairs.
What's that?
Upstairs in the room upstairs?
I think so. I'm not sure exactly which stage he's going to be on, but he'll be there, and it's May 7th. So.
Oh, that's great.
What name does he go by? Lucas, or is that use that name?
Adam.
I mean, is that Adam Lucas?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. That's wonderful. Oh God, now I want to go in.
He's gonna write your autobiography. That's what's gonna happen.
We'll see what happens.
Keep going down the line.
So
with the 2 of them, they're both so talented. I'm going to be like the Rance Howard. I'll be looking at Ron Howard and Clint.
Hey, there's worse things you could be.
I did it.
Yeah, really.
But look at these 2.
There's worse things you could be. Rance Howard was a great dad.
Or I should pick like a baseball one. I'll be Ken Griffey Sr. or Robbie Bonds, looking at my kid going, "Oh, look at that! Look at what they did."
So did they knew your dad, obviously, right? I mean, they knew the whole story. And
they were very close to him.
That's good. That's good to hear. I'm glad. God, wow.
I can't wait to see. I can't wait till this thing comes out.
What's that?
I said I can't wait to see it. Like if finally when it comes to fruition, like you said, when the timing is right and
I hope
it gets
so too,
developed and everything.
Your lips to God's ears.
Yeah. You know what?
It's gonna
You're
happen.
Involved. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you seem to make shit happen. Excuse my language, but you do.
I try.
Very cool. You have blown Julie away. Like she's speechless. I've never really seen her this speechless. Like she's processing it all in her head, like just thinking that Nixon's showing up at our high school or something to give a speech. It's blowing her mind.
I was thinking while you were talking about that dinner with Nixon and Billy Joel at the same table, I was thinking maybe this is where you got the idea for "We Didn't Start the Fire." We list off all those historical events.
In my dad's book, he tells the story where they were. A few weeks before, he was talking to Billy Joel, and they were talking about music, and Johnny Ray came up, and they started talking about Johnny Ray, and they said Johnny. That was my dad's generation.
That's right. He was in the song too.
They had like a 30-minute conversation about Johnny Ray, and he said, all of a sudden, I listened a couple of months later, and what do I hear? He's got a song about Johnny Ray, and
that's right.
The song was about Johnny Ray. It meant
he listed him in the people that.
But Johnny, to his dying day, my father thought he should have gotten a songwriting credit for that. So I'm like, Dad, it's one line in a song that mentions like everything that happened from 50s.
Forrest Gump And like, in the movie Forrest Gump, like everything is like, oh, you taught Elvis to dance. And like everything is, it comes down to a point where your father was somehow involved or had some type of influence with the people involved. It's very, very cool.
And that's how when pitching the movie, that's what they're pitching it at. Forrest Gump meets Kramer versus Kramer, because when I was 2 and my brother was 4, my mom just walked out on my dad, just left him alone to raise 2 kids all by himself. And he did a magnificent job. My grandmother moved in, but then she came back 10 years later and she sued my dad for custody. And the judge didn't even hear any testimony. He said, oh, you're blind. You can't have 2 kids all by yourself, and just gave us to my mom. So my dad went out and got another lawyer and went all the way up to the Superior Court. And he was the first handicapped person in the history of the world and the first male in the United States history to win custody back from a female.
Wow.
So the 2 stories of his, overcoming all the handicap and putting together, that's why people say Forrest Gump meets Kramer versus Kramer if they make the movie.
It would have been very easy for you to sort of turn out like so many children of celebrities who have to follow and live in the shadow of somebody as great as your dad was, and just went rotten. He's with drugs and drinking and boozing and whoring around. But you just went the other way, man.
Well, thank you. I'm addicted to gummy bears, so I don't know if that's in there. There's way too many of those in my life. But
well, that's okay. But
no, your dentist is on line 1. He would like a word, or she would like a word.
I'm building a new wing on his house because of all the gummy bears. So.
Did you ever feel that sort of how am I ever going to live up to his standards? Do you ever? You've obviously.
Well, I'll put it this way. He never made us. He always said to my brother and to myself that, you listen, forge your own path and do what you need to do, and you be you. Because all the time people would say, and they still say, oh, you must be a big baseball fan. And I'll watch games, and I haven't been back to the stadium since he passed away. It's going to be a little hard because, that was home and it's hard to walk into. So I will watch a game and I'll root for the Yankees, but I don't live and die by baseball and other sports. I'm the casual viewer. And even when I was a kid, my father never pushed us to be like, oh, you've got to. My brother did. My brother's a Mets fan. I think he's adopted. I don't know what happened there, but he said, you do what makes you happy and you be the person that you're going to be. And don't worry about who I am or what I've done. And whatever that is, that's what you are. And so
what did your brother wind up doing? What does he do?
He's in sales.
Okay.
And he does not like the attention. And like anytime we were doing interviews and all that, he would politely decline. So he calls me the media whore, which I don't know how to take that, but he's, because I'm the one that every time we'd be doing interviews, it'd be my dad and I, and we wrote the book together. So there are a lot of people that don't even know I have a brother because he's kept so quiet, but he's a wonderful guy. And, he loved my dad just as much as I did. And he talked about him just as much as I did. He just didn't write a book with him.
Yeah. You guys still reminisce about all your stories and like you get together and it's just like all the cool stuff that he did with Dad.
We absolutely love that. I use him as my fact checker because when people say that can't be true, I'll call him and like, Eddie, will you tell them the story? Like anytime I tell that, they'll talk to him and he'll say it's absolutely. Or sometimes I'll remember something and go, maybe I'm not getting that right, or maybe I'm just exaggerating it, or blowing up the story. And he'll add stuff. Then, don't you remember this? Don't you? Oh, yeah, right. I remember that happening too. So he was, as a baseball fan, you'll appreciate this, Juliet. He was old enough, my brother. He's 2 years older, that when we were in the stadium and in the bowels of the stadium during the game, he was playing stickball with people like Cal Ripken Jr. and Ken Griffey Jr. and Barry Bonds. And, I was a little bit too young for that. I didn't really get to know those guys, but that was his generation that he got to know all those people when they were young and hung out with them.
Did they go ahead, Kev?
No, did you play ball at all?
I did. No, I'm telling you, see the glasses I have on. Yeah, I was just about as good as my dad was after he went blind in baseball.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, I'm not a sports guy.
I was going to ask if they use Spalding's.
They did. Yeah, no, that's all my dad talked about. Spalding's. Yeah.
Any?
Kathy,
no, I don't know what a Spalding is.
There were 2 kinds of pink balls that you played stickball with back in the day. And one was the cheap 10-cent ball, and it was useless. I mean, you hit it once and split in half. The other was a Spalding. It actually was Spalding.
Spalding, yeah.
Yeah. But New York area, you call it a Spalding. It was 29 cents.
If you listen to my father, you would know why it's because that's how people said Spalding with a G, and he'd go, "Hey, the radiator, the toilet, hey, everything's twirling on me." So,
where did he grow up? Where was he from? Where was he from?
Jersey City.
Okay,
born and raised Jersey City, and they had the thickest accent in the world. And I had it too. He luckily had a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and he had me listen to a recording myself when I was like 7. And I was, "Hey, Dad, how's it going? Forget about it. Get out of here." And it took me 20 years to get rid of that.
Well, you're Italian, right? You're Italian, Lucas?
No, Irish, 100% Irish.
Really?
But,
wow.
Yeah, but if you're on my Facebook page, I'll talk about Sunday gravy and things like that, because there's no such thing as Irish food. I mean, you get maybe soda bread and shepherd's pie, and that's it. You run out. We're great with the alcohol, but the food not so much. So my nana, we lived in an Italian neighborhood, and she borrowed all this. So she was an amazing Italian cook, even though we don't have a drop of Italian blood in there. But I grew up on all that food and everything else.
We'll give you 80 varieties of whiskey, but don't ask us about food.
Exactly. And the Irish will tell you that themselves. You go to Ireland, they'll be like, "Yeah, cuisine is not our thing."
Yeah. What you had mentioned that you haven't been back to Yankee Stadium since your father passed. Do you think you'll go back? And if you do go back, do you think you'll take a crew with you or somebody to document?
Or at least me.
No, but I'm thinking like
So I'm still friends with people like Mrs. Thurman Munson and Kay Mercer, Bobby Mercer's widow, and Jesse Barfield and his wife Marla, and people like that. And so last year for Old Timers Day, they said, "Are you going to come by?" And the Yankees usually do a thing where they honor the people who have passed, and they said, "We would like you there." And it was on a Saturday, and until the Friday night before, I was still going back and forth, and I couldn't, even though they're old friends, and it would have been nice catching up and all. So maybe this year it'll be Old Timers Day. But if I was going to go, I would have taken my boys with me, definitely, because they loved their grandfather, and as a way to see how other people loved him as well. They caught a glimpse of it towards the end, and when he died, his obituary was in the New York Times, and every network did a piece on him, which was nice. But for them to hear it from the players themselves, from people like Reggie Jackson and Goose Gossage, people who are still around, about how much he meant to them, that's what it would be meaningful. So I'll go back for that, hopefully.
Please let us know if you. I would love to know how that goes when you do go back. Just
I got to tell you, I knew this was going to be a good, fun interview, but you talk about exceeding expectations. This is just. This is amazing. You're an amazing man.
I'm honored that you asked. I mean, I hold you in the highest esteem for comedy. So it was nice. I was flattered that you asked. I said, "Well, I'm a guy that's hardly ever on a comedy stage, and I'm not nowhere near your league of comedy. So for you to have me here was a great honor."
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But this, I got to ask you a Thurman Munson question.
Sure.
Okay, because that was that Yankee team, in my opinion, greatest of all time, even beyond the 27 Yankees. And the day they came back from his funeral, I'm sorry, I'm tearing up here. Yeah. I was at the game. They were playing Baltimore.
Wow.
They came back and they were just having a horrible game, and it was Bobby Mercer. That just, I don't know where he found it, but I think he hit. He won the game. I mean, I think he scored everywhere. Yeah. It was and I was right behind home plate, and it was the most amazing game I'd ever seen in my life. And I tear up thinking about it now, because it was right out of again, like a Disney story.
Sure.
This guy's best friend.
Hollywood ending. Yeah.
Did you ever talk to him about that?
To Bobby Mercer?
Yeah.
All the time, and to Mrs. Mercer, his widow, they were very close to Thurman Munson, and they were supposed to take the plane with him. He wanted them to take a couple of trips with him back and forth, and they declined. And I think it was Cleveland or Chicago he was at the time, and he did not fly with them for that. But my dad has a story in the book that just before that road trip where Thurman Munson went on the road, he had just written an autobiography, and my dad went up to him and said, "Hey, Thurman, can you sign it?" And he said to my father, "You're blind. What are you doing? Why are you buying a book? You can't." He had a good sense, even though it didn't seem like he had a great sense of humor. And he was kidding my father. Said, "What'd you buy a book for if you can't?" And my dad said, "Well, my sons are going to read it to me." And he said, "Would you sign it?" So he did. And then my dad went up to the press box and realized that he didn't date it and he didn't put a name on it, like, to Eddie and Chris or something like that. So he went to him after the game and said, "Listen, Thurman, can you just put the date on it?" And he was packing up his stuff. He said, "Ed, I'll catch you when I get back. Make sure you get me in."
Oh.
And that was the last. So my dad has that book to this day. One of the last things ever signed by Thurman Munson at Yankee Stadium was that book, or had the book until my father died. It's still in possession of the family, but people offered him. The author of the book said, "Hey, I'll I don't even have a copy that's autographed. Can I have that? And I'll pay you handsomely." And he got a lot of money, a lot of offer, and turned every one of them down because it meant so much to him.
Oh God! Oh my God! Again, it's like.
Will you keep that in the family, or will you perhaps give it to the Hall of Fame or something?
Only if the Hall of Fame, the three I would ever give it to would be the Hall of Fame, the Yankee Museum, or the Munson family. That would be it. Nobody else would get that but I think it's going to stay in the family. Just even though he didn't put the personalization of Eddie and Chris, I know who it was for and when it was signed. There's a photo of my dad with him from that day that's in the book of him. My dad's got his seeing eye dog is on the field.
That's got Buddy Holly,
Your dad had a seeing eye dog?
There's a lot of
oh, please, we're freezing up. Oh,
story behind that book.
Wow.
Well, go ahead, Kat.
No, Chris, I think you kind of blew our mind a little bit, because it's to just sit and talk with you is so amazing.
He did. We had 4 seeing eye dogs. Yeah.
Pardon me?
And he would bring the seeing eye dogs to the game.
We're losing you, Chris, because you're freezing up. I don't know what we're gonna have to. Can you hear us? I guess not. Well, I don't know if he's coming back or not. But
yeah, we're losing it.
All right, Jimmy, if you get him, is he back?
There he is. Hey.
Did it come up? No.
Yeah, there you are.
You're freezing, and then you start and stopping again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's
okay.
Okay. All right, we're gonna have to.
So you were asking about the four.
You had 4 seeing eye dogs.
Where'd he go? We lost him completely.
Oh
now.
My goodness.
All right. Well, I guess. Damn.
We'll have to have him back.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a. I am truly like, yeah.
I can see it in your face. You're seldom at a loss for words, but I think you are a little flabbergasted.
Well, I can't underestimate what a huge Yankee fan I was as a kid,
and all those players,
all those names and all those players that meant so much to us kids, And
imagine having Nixon show up at your school.
Billy Joel. I mean, yeah.
Paul McCartney.
This guy, but you know what I love about him? He's so unassuming. He's just a really neat guy, and I would love to have him back on. And I'm sorry that we lost him. And we'll have him back though for sure. So,
it was going so well.
Reminiscent of Tommy Bones.
Time to stuff your bird.
Stuff your bird.
Well, that was fun though. I'm sorry we lost him, but
yeah, I'm gonna call him when we get off.
Okay.
Well, anyway,
excuse me.
This show, the thing about we may be a cluster F on a lot of things, but when we get guests on like that, I think we're really lucky to be able to do this and talk to people like him,
And you don't realize how much people have going on. Like he could talk forever about these stories, but like you said, he's so unassuming, and like you would never he's not, I'm sure, sitting around the dinner parties going, and the other time was, we're seeking this information out. We're kind of dragging it out of him. But
is he back? Oh my God, there he is. Did you hear us talking about it? Oh, now you're upright too.
Is it breaking up? Can you still hear
me? No,
me?
you look perfect. Great. Whatever you did, you look great now. Okay.
Let's do the show over.
Yeah.
There you are.
Wow, now that I see you upright, not sideways.
Yeah, it's a different device. I tried a different device.
Oh, this is much better, too. We were just wrapping up, so goodbye.
No, I'm okay. Thank you. Sorry, I apologize. I'm so sorry about that.
No, don't be. We were just saying we want to have you back on.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like there's days and days more material to get out of you. You've been one of the
mining for Chris.
Thank you.
You've been, I got to say, one of the best guests we've had on since we started doing this, and we're like 35 episodes in.
Wow.
Easily, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Again, I take that as an honor. I appreciate that.
Well, I hope we wind up meeting in person someday.
Well, I'm planning on coming to one of your shows soon. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where. Go ahead.
When you do, will you please call us and make sure that you get to the show? And
Sure.
Yeah,
I will. I just won't bring the Thurman Munson book though.
No. Where do you keep it, by the way, in case I ever want to break into your house? Just let me know where you keep it.
What's your PIN number for your ATM card?
Well, I thank you, Chris, so much.
You're a fascinating man, and you seem like an even better human being. And for that, thank you.
I try my best. I'm glad to be with two great human beings right now. So thank you. The feeling is mutual.
Thank you.
And we'll meet soon, I promise. Okay.
Perfect. Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Be well, Chris. Thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Good luck with everything. All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.